Hey, what's up? This is Jay Crimson from the Crimson Cult Podcast. If you are interested in starting your own podcast like me, there's no place to go but Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the best and easiest way to make a podcast. You can trim, edit, add music, add background noises, whatever, all on your phone. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thanks for listening.
Necro.
You can call me Dylan. That's all right.
Dylan Keith Summers, also known as Necrobutcher, hardcore deathmatch wrestler. How are you, sir? Welcome to the cult.
Oh, I'm doing good. I think we made it through the winter, it looks like.
Yeah, we did. It's good.
Getting, maybe a cold front coming in a couple of days, I guess, but it's supposed to be gone as quick as it gets here, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I keep hearing about more snow, but I like snow. I'm a black metal guy, so I love that snow.
Well, that's, if you walk 2 miles to work, you don't really appreciate snow that much.
Nope, that would change it up.
Yeah, that's where I was this winter.
Oh, got you. Yeah, that's always rough. So you live in Pennsylvania, and you were born in West Virginia, right?
That is true. Both of those are true, yes.
Excellent. So, let's see. You've been in some of the most brutal, violent, hardcore matches. What do you consider your most violent match?
Oh, I don't know. I would need some time to think about that. There's been wrestling was my only source of income for, 15, 20 years. So, a lot of times you say yes to things you should say no to, because you have bills to pay. Okay, fine, send me to, Alabama in some bingo hall or send me to Mexico in some bull fighting arena, so some of the things, where, other guys might have the luxury of picking and choosing, what they're doing. So it's a little different when you're trying to pay your bills.
Right. You, how did you get into hardcore wrestling?
Well, it wasn't really a decision to go in that direction. In 2001, sometime around that time frame, I had found myself in Louisville, Kentucky, and that was the company I was working for was IW Mid-South, and they had, Memphis guys, they had ECW guys, they had, younger independent guys from all over the East Coast. And, sometimes, they have Japanese guys in. So it was a good place to test your skill, if that's what you wanted to do. And I was just, second, third match, wasn't making a whole lot of money, wasn't really, in too high-profile matches, but I was, getting better. And at that time, the main events were in that style of wrestling, which you speak of, and it wasn't really. I was just trying to elevate myself in the place where I was,
right?
Gravitating towards that direction. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to make more money, and I wanted to be in the main events. That's where I was. That's what the main events were, so that's what I tried to head towards.
What was some of your worst injuries?
Well, there's been some pretty bad ones. None of which resulted in not being able to finish the match. Though I never quit in the middle of the match. But I mean, let's see. Broken ankle, broke my leg a little higher than my ankle. fracture. That happened in a match where the bone was sticking out the back of my leg. Pretty few bad cuts, and then quite a few stitches over the years. Probably the stuff with my knees. I've torn my knees all kinds of ways up. But a lot of times, like I said, you don't, when you're trying to pay your bills, you can't go to the hospital. You gotta keep working. So a lot of these injuries, you just try to, drink a couple of beers and put some athletic tape on and do the best you can. Had a real bad staph infection, I remember. I was out for 5 days. I was in the hospital for that one. Really bad. So that'd probably be the longest one as far as staying in the hospital for the longest amount of time was staph infection. Then like I said, I let it go for so long. Then I got to the show and immediately went to sleep in the locker room. Everyone thought I was drunk, which I guess I might legally have been drunk, but that wasn't why. I was tired, and they woke me up before my match, went and did my match, came back, went right back to sleep in the locker room. Woke up, my wife was in the locker room, which infuriated me because I never allowed my family members in the locker room ever. Turns out the promoter had went and got her to get me to the hospital because by then they figured out something was wrong with me. I had a real high temperature, lost all the color out of my skin, lips were blue. It was pretty bad, but like I said, I'd been ignoring it, just to keep working, and then they just got the best of me, and they left me in there, I think, like 5 days, and then I ended up leaving against doctor's orders after 5 days. Guess why? To go wrestle, because bills are piling up, but so maybe the staph infection might be the most dangerous, but as far as gruesome, probably then the compound fracture in my leg, that's probably the best one.
What were some of your craziest bumps that you've taken, and in what matches?
Well, Well, you just catch me by surprise here off the top of my head. I guess the thing I did that I was the proudest of was coming out of the balcony at Corkin Hall. I don't know about now because it's been a few years, but at the time I did it, I had set 3 records, and being I was the oldest man, or oldest human to come out of the balcony, and I was the heaviest, and I was the tallest. So I don't know. Since then, they probably don't even do that stuff anymore. I think someone said you can't get up there anymore. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been over Corkin Hall, but yeah, that was. And then that was 2000. Oh Lord, I don't know. Maybe 2009 or 2010 or something like that. It was a big Japan show, but that was probably the one I'd be the most proudest of. And yeah, that one.
So how was it? How was it working in Japan?
Well, I mean, if you be more specific, that'd help me out. I mean, I went over there twice for 3 months. So I probably spent a year of my life over there. So, I mean, the big cities, it's a lot better. I mean, the big cities, Tokyo, Sapporo, the cities never close. So if you want to go get a, steak dinner in the middle of the night, that's very easily done in the big cities, and that's mostly where I was the big cities.
Right. The matches were awesome over there? They treated you real good?
I believe so. I mean, it took me a while to move my way up the card, but I think that applies anywhere. Eventually, if you just stick to your guns and follow with your game plan you've set for yourself, eventually you get to the point where no one can deny you, and that's what happened. I went over there and I did comedy wrestling for the first couple of years, simply because I was guilty of making the comedy wrestlers look good. But I can make anybody look good if they'll just pay attention.
Right.
But then eventually, you get a chance here and there to do something different, and they have to put in the main events eventually.
Right. How was it working with Mickey Rourke in 2008's The Wrestler movie?
Well, I think the real hero of that would be his stunt double, Armand, because when you see when you watch the movie, if it's necrobutcher getting his ass kicked, that's Mickey Rourke doing the ass kicking. But if it's the Ram getting his ass kicked, well, that was a poor fellow named Armand. I guess he did some ECW couple TV matches way back in the day, just preliminary stuff, but had gotten out of wrestling, and then they found him for this stunt role. The match with me, for instance, that took 3 days to film. So poor old Armand was just getting pummeled for 3 days with no opportunity to fight back whatsoever, because that was always, Mickey Rourke was offense and Armand was defense.
Right. Interesting. So you've had a lot of brutal matches against Samoa Joe. Tell us a bit about your brutal matches against Samoa Joe, and which was your favorite?
Well, obviously the first one in Philadelphia, and to put a bit more insight into that time frame, I had came back from Japan that morning. I was living in West Virginia. They flew me out of Charleston, so I had just gotten off the airport. Got off the airplane, immediately got in my, I think I had a 72 Ford pickup truck at that point, green and yellow. But I just got in my truck and immediately drove to Philadelphia, because that was an afternoon show. And then there was another show in the same building that night. So I got off the plane, drove to Philly, wrestled Samoa Joe, caught my breath for about an hour and a half, then wrestled again. That was it was a pretty taxing few hours. That's for sure. Was
that IWA's debut in the ECW arena?
Yeah, correct. And therefore, it was their first foray, into the East Coast, and they really needed a good, solid drawing main event, to get people in there, so that was a lot of pressure, to get there. But, having a good match is a bonus. Once the show starts, you can't, it doesn't matter how good your match is. It's not like there's, some people are going to leave during the middle of the show and start running through the streets of, hey, come down to the arena, this great match is going on. There's nothing you can do. Once the show starts, you've done your job. You've got as many people in there as you could. Whether or not you have a good match or not, well, that's for future reference. Once the show starts, you've done your job, and that was a lot of pressure to be the guy involved in the main event to sell tickets. And it just so happened we did have a good match, but it was a lot of pressure just to be announced as the main event, more so than to actually do the main event,
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. You still talk to Toby Klein?
I don't really talk to anybody, but I do bump into folks, sporadically. I don't really get into that stuff anymore. I don't get out. I don't do that stuff. But I saw him, let's see, I guess he's like a youth counselor now. I really, I'm doing different things in my life, doing different things. I had a bout with cancer, and I've been in remission for a few months. It got pretty bad. I was down. I was in a wheelchair, losing my sight, losing everything. And then one day I just started getting better. And
that is awesome.
I just, when I got out of the little bed into a wheelchair, and then I eventually got out of the wheelchair and into using a cane, and now I've gotten rid of the cane and just wobbling around a little bit more. I'll probably wobble forever, but maybe wrestling has something to do with that. But when I got the strength to walk, I said, well, I need to do something. I'm not just, what am I going to do with this second chance I've got? I'm not going to just go back to wrestling and, hanging out here and hanging out there and doing this, or I think I really need to do something. And for a while I struggled with what to do with the second chance I got. And then it just, what's the biggest thing going on in the world right now is this COVID-19 mess, or Chicom-19, or China virus, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But the hardest hit area, for sure, of this whole mess has been the nursing homes. So I said, well, there it is. That's what I got to do. So that's what I started doing. Applied to a few. Found the one that I thought would give me the best fit. Looked on Google Maps to the closest apartment that I could afford to this nursing home. Moved into a town out here in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Don't know a soul in this town. So days off, time off is pretty quiet, pretty boring, but I really believe in what I'm doing. These people out here that haven't, being in jail's better, I guess, because at least if you're in jail, hey, I've been here 3 months, I got 3 months more to go, or I've been here 10 years, I got 5 years to go. These people haven't seen their relatives in over a year now. Like the Count of Monte Cristo, scratching on the wall for how many days they've been there. It's pretty bad, but this is where I thought I could do the most good in the world, so here's where I'm at. Walk 2 miles each way, to and from, 2 miles there, 2 miles back. Usually between 1 and 3 miles at work I'm walking, because I'm just running, nonstop. But I believe in what I'm doing, and I just don't really, I maybe go to 2 or 3 shows a year if someone will really put a lot of pressure on me to come out, but I just don't get into all that stuff anymore.
Right, that's understandable. You've done all you can do. You have nothing to prove, in my opinion.
Well, I can get hurt again. That's ultimately what happened,
Right. So you were diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma?
Yeah, I guess, well, scientifically, the difference between Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's is a certain protein that's in the DNA of the cancer. Now, in layman's terms, something easy to understand is, generally speaking, if the lymphoma is first discovered in your chest cavity, it's typically going to be Hodgkin's, whereas if it's discovered somewhere else in your body other than your chest cavity, it's typically going to be non-Hodgkin's. Now, not 100%, obviously, but close enough where I can say that with confidence.
Right. And last month you got better, went into remission, and kicked its ass?
Well, my last PET scan was February 1st. At that point, I was told I currently have no active lymphoma, which is, as you say, remission. And one of the large tumors in my chest, just to give you an idea of how sick I was, the largest tumor I have, although it's no longer active, it's still there, but it is 14 times smaller than what it was in July. So, basically I had a ping pong ball sitting on my aorta this summer.
Wow.
So it's, and doing, it was really, and I had it like I said, I'd been sick for a couple of years too. Just denied and keep working, and then it just, I was having trouble breathing, having trouble moving. It was messing up my heart, messing up my lungs. It was getting pretty bad. I was on my way out the door, but things aren't that way anymore.
I'm glad to hear that. So, back to wrestling. You were the first person to win both IWA's King of the Death match and CZW's Tournament of Death. That's awesome.
Well, back then there wasn't. Nowadays, everybody that runs the show has their own little deathmatch extravaganza. But, back then it was a lot different. And back then CZW and IWG didn't work together. There was one or the other. Very few guys worked for both companies. And, a lot of times the guys from the wood, they wouldn't be treated very, very fairly by one or the other. So it was, but like I said, if you just, stick to your guns and stay true to yourself and, follow your own beliefs, eventually they can't deny you. And that works in any field, not just wrestling. Sometimes, things don't always work in the speed we want them to. A good analogy is my walking to work. I walk, and there's cars that, go flying right by me because I walk along the highway. And those cars, they're going to get to their destination in their own time, obviously faster than me. But even though I'm walking, I'm still going to get to my destination in my time as well. Things don't always operate at the speed we want. I wish I could get there in the same amount of time it takes the people in their car to get to their destination. Mm-hmm. But you just have to continue and put your feet forward, and you'll get to where you're going. In your own time. We just have to try to be patient with ourselves sometimes. Especially in prayer too. You have to be patient. The Lord's time is not our time. Everything moves in its own time.
Right. What was your most insane stipulation in your opinion?
Regarding
any wrestling match.
Oh, well, I hate to just sound so boring. I wish if I had these questions ahead of time, perhaps I could have did a little bit more entertaining answers. I don't know. There's I think the cacti were that was a pretty that was a lot more trouble than I anticipated. But again, it was a big show. It was a cage match. Trying to get into the main event of the company in Houston, so you agree to things because you want to be in the main event. But that about 3 or 4 hours after the match of pulling these quills out of your, and even a couple days later it took for them to work out. But there was a good, there was no, post-match victory party or survival party, I guess. There was none of that because you just sat around for hours pulling these damn quills out.
Ooh. What was your most favorite thing about working for Ring of Honor?
Just the talented locker room. That was, at the time I was there, God, that's all the guys in the big TV shows now. All those guys were there, and it was a tremendously talented locker room. I knew it could have having a good match was a given. I got to work with everybody. It was, I guess, it was really lucky, really fortunate.
Do you watch wrestling on TV at all?
I might watch WrestleMania every couple of years. That's about it. I don't. Sometimes I'll watch a clip or something, or maybe some kid he'll send me a match of his he wants me to watch or something like that. But no, I think whichever time when Seth Rollins won the title from Brock Lesnar, I think that was the last time I watched wrestling on television.
It's changed over the years, hasn't it?
Well, unfortunately, and now they're not even doing I guess WWE doesn't even do the touring anymore. It's television only. And then you got all these little rinky-dink promoters with, 40 people, and they'll be, I don't get it. It's not, the formula for smaller companies, their formula isn't working, but yet instead of changing their formula, they just double down on the ridiculousness and continue to tread water or slowly drown or whatever. It's not good, that's for sure.
Have you checked out AEW at all?
I have never watched their show. I don't. Like I said, I watch wrestling maybe once every 2 or 3 years on TV. So
right.
It's not,
they just had a pay-per-view with Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega, and it was billed and described as a exploding barbed wire death match, and it definitely caught my attention. But I know both of those guys are big fans of the Japanese style stuff, and they even showed Onita in the beginning wearing his classic leather jacket, and I thought that was a sweet tribute. The match was okay. The ending, the match, after 30 minutes, the match is supposed to explode, and it wasn't wasn't a very big explosion, but the exploding ropes, the barbed wire ropes, that was awesome, and I thought the match was pretty good, but things change and things are done differently, and you can always go back and watch the old stuff, in my opinion.
At least they didn't do one of those cinematic matches. At least they didn't do that.
They did it right before on that pay-per-view with...
Oh, great.
Yeah. It was the match right before that one with Sting and Darby.
Oh, boy. Did anybody teleport?
No one teleported.
Didn't they have some teleportation here a few months back I was reading about?
I did read about it.
Like one of the Hardy brothers was like transporting around the building or something like that. That's why I don't watch it. I don't want to. Then that doesn't. See, that's the thing about that snarky stuff they do. You don't get any new fans with that. No one that's not someone that isn't a wrestling fan, and if you show them that, oh wow, that's awesome! I need to watch that. I'm going to support that way in my local gymnasium. I'm going to turn on watch that. I'm going to spend $60 on pay-per-view if I see that. You don't get any new fans.
Right, I agree.
You might get the 10% of your crowd that reviews the matches and gives various 1-star, 2-star ratings to the matches. You might please those guys, but those guys are going to watch your show no matter what. They might get mad and watch the other one for a few weeks or whatnot, but they're still going to watch your show. No one's trying to do anything to bring new fans in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everyone wants their 5-second clip of their show. Oh, look what happened. This happened. But how about trying to make some money? How about trying to pay some people? I'm just not into it, man.
It makes sense. Yeah, it's definitely been going on a downhill slope when it comes to WWE. What do you consider your crowning achievement as a pro wrestler?
Oh, I never thought about it. I mean, I just tried to, keep the bills paid, and I just wanted people to know when they came to see me, I can't, from, Johnny Valentine said I can't make people believe in pro wrestling, but I can make them believe in me. And that's what I tried to do. You came to see me, you're going to see some, I'm going to try my best to represent wrestling in a positive manner. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I just tried to do that, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Or in baseball, sometimes it rains, but you get the meaning.
So was your last match against Schlack?
Oh yeah, that was. Yeah, it should have been before that.
Do you feel?
I mean, I'm up to 260 now, walking 4 miles every day. I'm feeling pretty good. Who knows? But yeah, that was. If it was anybody else, I wouldn't have done it.
Right? You feel like it was
terrible.
You feel like it was a passing of the torch, like a humbling way to go?
Well, I was just physically unable at that point in my life. I was still trying to get my diagnosis. It took months to get this thing diagnosed.
Gotcha.
And I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I knew something was wrong. And at that point, my weight was real low. I didn't have any strength. Walking was a big deal back then. It was a major undertaking to walk, and it would not have been feasible to try to put together a entertaining physical match of any sort. So I just, I've known him since before he was a wrestler. So my thoughts were, well, I cannot perform at the level that I want to or am able to, so that my best course of action will be to make it more so of a moment than a match.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the little, the whole, even something like with the chairs and the punching and all that. That was the first and only time anyone had ever knocked me out of the chair.
Oh, the slugfest.
Yeah, so how fitting would it be then, when I finally get knocked out of the chair, I'm, stepping away from wrestling.
Very
And then,
cool.
with the mean Joe Green tossing of the jersey there at the end of it, just trying to make it more so a moment, than a match.
Yep. That's kind of like what Tremont tried to do. The bulldozer.
I wrestled that kid's first match in CZW.
I know, it was awesome.
Everyone thought I was going to eat him up, and a few folks told me to eat him up. And I might have, going in, but I thought, I'll just talk to him a little bit while we're out there and see how it goes. And he was fine, so there was no need to eat him up. You know what I'm saying? I guess I made the right call, how many guys would come into CZW and get ate up and you'd never see him again. Well, that really seems like a nice enough fellow. Let's see. I think the thing I remember the most is how it was an outside show, and I had no shoes on, and the ring was so hot. It felt better. Yeah, I couldn't stay in one place too long because my feet were burning. That's how hot the damn ring was.
Jesus. All right, Necro. I'm proud of you as a fan. You've brought lots of hardcore joy to our lives, and when someone wants to watch a bloody wrestling match, I always know to look for Necro. You are a legend, sir, and I love you, dude. And I'm glad that you are on the road to recovery.
Well, if we're not promised anything in life, I'm just got really fortunate, so I'm just trying to, people get confused about the term blessing nowadays. It's a term that gets prostituted. I think, how are you doing? Oh, I'm blessed. Oh, I'm just waiting on my blessing. Oh, I just wish I'd be blessed with that, blessed with this, blessed with that. A blessing from God isn't a reward. That's not how God works. God doesn't bless you to show you how much He loves you. That's not how it works. If you read the Bible and all the Isaac, Abraham, Jacob, Joseph, David, Daniel, all these guys that were blessed, He wanted something from them. A blessing is an investment. If you do nothing with the blessing that you've been invested in with, then you've done nothing. You've prostituted the word. The blessing was, all right, first of all, here's cancer. Now you can reevaluate your life. And now that you're done thinking about it,
God.
Go ahead and get out of bed now. You can get out of bed. You thought enough about what you're going to do, so get out of bed and go do it. And that's what I did, and I went to, like I said, I went to where I thought I could do the most good, for somebody without a degree. For a man of my modest skill set, I thought that the best use of my God-given talents was to go to work in the nursing home and just try to, be somebody's friend. And that's what I do every day. Not today, because I'm off, sitting around alone, playing Fallout 76, listening to college baseball on the radio.
Nice.
But typically I'm walking to work to go try to bring a little bit of whatever happiness I can do into people's lives that are the true victims of this horrible situation the world's fallen into.
Right. I appreciate that. I admire that.
So, paying back the blessing, man. Gotta pay it back.
Good for you, man. All right, Dylan, Keith Summers, also known as Necrobutcher, thank you for joining us on the call tonight.
Okay, hope I wasn't too boring. Like I said, if I had the questions in advance, I would have thunk more. And perhaps I would have overthunked them. Who knows?
Right.
But I wasn't too boring, and thanks for taking it easy on me, man. And that's what was the baseball card I required. Chun Chin.
Nice.
Yeah, that's my best baseball memory ever was that guy. He was a fat, roly-poly, third-string catcher from Taiwan on a low-level, rookie-level A-League team out near Youngstown, Ohio, the Scrappers. And he had one home run during the season. It was a road game. Now, granted, at this time I was a season ticket holder, but he had one home run on the year. He was third string, and the home run was on the road. So it may or may not even have occurred. None of us fans had seen it. And the championship was 2 out of 3 series, 2 out of 3 games with the Yankees farm team, and the last home game, the Yankees had won game 1 at their place, so game 2 was at those Indians farm team, and it was tied up, and it was the last game of the year. The championship wasn't on the line, but if they won, they'd play a third game. But if they lost, that was the last time we was going to hang out. When you're a season ticket holder, you get to be friends with everybody else at the ballpark there. And that fat roly-poly backup catcher hit a home run to win the game in extra innings. And it was just so exciting. We got to come back and see each other one more time. They extended our season one more game, and that of all the games and players I've seen now, that was my funnest baseball memory. It was Chun Chin hitting a home run for the Mahoning Valley Scrappers to extend our season one more day. It wasn't a championship, but just to come back to the ballpark one more day was such a joy.
And that man's card is the one Necro made me purchase in order to do this podcast.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to break the bank, but I was like, yeah, that's what I do with the kids who want me to watch their matches and review them, or watch the shows and review them, or interview requests. So, all right, you got to give me something. I'm not doing this for free. I'm damn near free, but you got to give me something.
You probably have quite the collection then, huh?
I do. I've had some lengthy conversations with my postal carriers as to what are all these hard envelopes I keep getting in the mail. But yeah, I'm more of a collector than an investor, though. You know, I collect for, like I said, memories or where I'm living in life or what's going on, and just a collector.
That's nice. All right, Necro. Thank you very much. May peace be with you, sir.
Okay, you too. Be careful out there, buddy.
You too.
Later.
Later.